He said when he was 15, his dad was so ignorant he could barely stand to have him around. But when he turned 21, he couldn't believe how much his dad had learned in 6 years. So, okay, I'll give this a try. It's a small font, but I'll do my best with the small font. Okay. Okay, this is from Henry George, April 1st, 1885, The Crime of Poverty. Now, Henry George was an internet typesetter and newspaper editor who became a skilled lecturer and critic of the economic system. His book, Progress and Poverty, made him famous, and he ran unsuccessfully for mayor, I think a couple times, the 1880s and 1890s. In this address, he delivered at an opera house in Burlington, Iowa. He examines the social roots of poverty in the United States in the 19th century, and he challenges the myth of individual blame. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose to talk to you tonight about the crime of poverty. I cannot, in a short time, hope to convince you of much, but the thing of things I should like to show you is that poverty is a crime. I do not mean that it is a crime to be poor. Murder is a crime, but it is not a crime to be murdered. And a man who is in poverty I look upon not as a criminal in himself, so much as a victim of a crime for which others, as well as perhaps himself, are responsible. That poverty is a curse, the bitterest of curses we all know. Paul was right when he said that the hell of which Englishmen are most afraid is the hell of poverty. And this is true, not of Englishmen alone, but of people all over the civilized world. No matter what the nationality, it is to escape this hell that we strive and strain and struggle. The work of the oftentimes in blind habit long after necessity for work is gone. The curse born of poverty is not confined to the poor alone. It runs to all classes, even the very rich. They too suffer. They must suffer, for there cannot be a suffering in a community from which any class can totally escape. The vice, the crime, the ignorance, the meanness born of poverty, poison, so to speak, the very air which the rich and poor alike must breathe. Poverty is the mother of ignorance, the breeder of crime. I walked down one of your streets this morning and I saw 3 men going along with their hands chained together. I knew for certain that these men were not rich men, and although I did not know the offense for which they were carried in chains through your streets, this I think I can safely say, that if you trace it up, you will find that in some way it sprung from poverty. 9/10 of human misery, I think, you will find, if you look at to be due to poverty. If a man chooses to be poor, he commits no crime in being poor, provided his poverty hurts no one but himself. If a man has others dependent on him, if there is a wife and children whom it is his duty to support, then if he voluntarily chooses poverty, it is a crime. And I think that in most cases, the men who have no one to support but themselves are men that are shirking their duty. A woman comes into the world for every man, and for every man who lives a single life, caring only for himself, there is someone who is deprived of her natural supporter. But while a man who chooses to be poor cannot be charged with a crime, it is certainly a crime to force poverty on others. And it seems to me clear that the great majority of those who suffer from poverty are poor not from their own particular faults, but because of the conditions imposed upon them by society at large. Therefore, I hold that poverty is a crime, not an individual crime, but a social crime, a crime for which we all, poor as well as rich, are responsible.